Digital fraud was estimated to cost advertisers $6 billion in 2015. For example, the botnet named Chameleon cost advertisers over $6 million per month with over 120,000 host machines, while the botnet named Zero Access was estimated to cost advertisers $2.7 million per month with 1 million host machines. From 2012 to 2014, Google held just over 31% of the market share in digital advertising revenues. In 2014, over $59 billion or 89.5% of its total revenue came from advertising. To what extent is Google involved in click fraud? To answer this question, we need to take a brief look at the culture of Google. Fortune named Google the #1 best place to work 6 years in a row. However, a number of ex-Googlers, as they are called, complain that it is full of arrogant and overqualified people who do very basic tasks. In 1998, the first Google Doodle was displayed, a themed picture on the homepage of google.com. The picture shows a stick figure man. This was to honor the Burning Man Festival, an annual occult gathering in the Nevada desert. The founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, have been regular attendees at Burning Man since that time. They even decided to hire Eric Schmidt as CEO of Google because he attended Burning Man. The Burning Man Festival is a week-long exhibition of modern, quote, art, with a culture of drugs, nudity, fornication, sodomy, and other wicked things. In 1996, the theme for Burning Man was Inferno, a display of hell-like characters, including a contract to sell one's soul to the devil in exchange for a lollipop.
I'm talking about the most revolutionary new product of all, Helco's amazing new spiritual investment program, the Eternity Fund. One.
Excuse me?
That's right. Just one. One thin soul. That's all it costs. And best of all, you won't even notice it's missing.
The Burning Man Festival culminates each year with the burning of a giant wooden figure in the shape of a man. This echoes what the Druids did, only they put real people inside it before burning it. At a Utah regional Burning Man event, a man actually committed suicide by running into the fire. People have died and been raped at Burning Man. One lady was killed by this bus, and a 19-year-old girl was found strangled, drugged, and raped. Burning Man also does not have rape kits on site. This is the culture that Larry Page describes as being a, quote, safe place for experimentation. In fact, the Burning Man Festival is a notorious place for the tech elite of Silicon Valley to go each year. The co-founder and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has gone. The founder and CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, has gone. The CEO of Tesla Motors has gone. And Microsoft even held a Burning Man-styled event for the release of its Xbox 360 called Burning Man Meets E3.
Games weren't the only attraction at the event, as some found their way to the free tattoo station. Another seemingly odd addition to the massive event was a single tree adorned with strange pictures, messages, and fluffy white rabbits. When asked, Microsoft reps said the tree was part of a viral marketing campaign, but couldn't confirm.
Burning Man has been described as a secular religion. It's not hard to see from all this that the tech elite who attend the Burning Man Festival have no morals. They are clearly more concerned with being, quote, creative than with combating click fraud. One can see this from the amount of emphasis Google places on developing innovative technology in comparison to finding innovative ways to combat click fraud. Alexander Tuzolin is a scientist who was hired by Google to audit their click fraud detection methods for a 2006 class action lawsuit and to find out whether their methods were reasonable or not. Although he said their filtering methods were reasonable, this conclusion was arrived at through indirect evidence rather than through direct evidence. He stated, quote, Google did not provide a compelling amount of conclusive evidence demonstrating the effectiveness of their approach that would satisfy me as a scientist, end quote. One wonders whether Tuzolin was overawed or intimidated by Google's size. For example, he complained about not being given any samples of valid or invalid clicks, and that he did not agree with the click quality team on this point, yet he still said their methods were reasonable. He also admitted that as a scientist, he could not conclude that Google's filters work well, or that they remove most of the invalid clicks. Click fraud became a problem as soon as the pay-per-click advertising model came into being in the 1990s. Following a lawsuit for click fraud in 2006 and agreeing to a settlement figure of almost $5 million, Yahoo promised to help to put an end to click fraud. Google also settled a class action lawsuit for click fraud in 2006 for $90 million. The 2013 study by Microsoft, Viceroy, Catching Click Spam in Search Ad Networks, showed that by seeking out the publishers that had abnormally high amounts of revenue in comparison with the average, they could proactively eliminate click fraud before it happened, in contrast to Google's method of reactively finding the fraud after it happened. The study points out the danger of such reactive methods as costing one particular advertiser $14 million over 4 years before being taken down. This is footage of a robot making false impressions. Click fraudsters have developed more sophisticated technology that can go undetected. Quote, the TDL4 botnet, for instance, which is estimated to have siphoned millions, avoids threshold-based filters by performing only one click per IP address per day, but doing so from millions of bots, avoids browser signature-based filters by plugging into real browsers, and avoids user behavior-based filters by gating malware actions on user actions. End quote. Possibly the biggest problem with click fraud is that platforms such as Google stand to profit from it. For example, YouTube, which is owned by Google, has been found to be, quote, susceptible to simple fake views generation strategies, and it boosts the view counts on monetized videos by at least 75% more than on non-monetized videos. Another example of Google possibly profiting by fraudulent means is where in 2009 and 2012, many publishers with AdSense accounts were suddenly banned just days before their payday. Even though this was on the publisher side of advertising, Google still profited. The following clips show people whose AdSense account was banned unexpectedly.
My AdSense account got banned.
My Google AdSense account was disabled.
My AdSense account has been disabled.
After reviewing our records, we've determined that your AdSense account possesses a risk of generating invalid activity.
I had this email from Google saying that my AdSense account was disabled.
My AdSense account was disabled.
An individual claiming to be an ex-employee at Google claimed this was deliberately planned by the Google establishment, and there is currently a class action lawsuit on this matter. The Google Click Quality team is supposed to detect click fraud. However, one can only wonder how sincere they are when the head of the team said he might celebrate the downfall of click fraud by having a drink on a beach with the fraudsters. Eric Schmidt is notorious for his imprudent comments. Regarding Google's slogan, "Don't be evil," Schmidt said, quote, "Evil is what Sergey says is evil." He said on another occasion, quote, "We know where you are, we know where you've been, we can more or less know what you're thinking about."
There's what I call the creepy line, and the Google policy about a lot of these things is to get right up to the creepy line but not cross it. I would argue that implanting things in your brain is beyond the creepy line.
Mine in particular.
Yes. At least for the moment, until the technology gets better, is we don't need you to type at all, because we know where you are, with your permission. We know where you've been, with your permission. We can more or less guess what you're thinking about. Now, is that over the line? Is that right over the line?
We should take a vote.
Is that right over the line?
Regarding click fraud, Schmidt said that the perfect economic solution, if Google was not patrolling it, would be to let it happen.
In Google's case, we worry about this a lot, and we have a number of technical engineers who think that this is great fun to try to go ahead of this and get ahead of it. So over some amount of time, the system is in fact self-correcting. In fact, there is a perfect economic solution, which is to let it happen. But because it's a bad thing, and because we don't like it, and because it does, at least for the short term, create some problems before the advertiser sees it, we go ahead and try to detect it and eliminate it.
This kind of, quote, let it happen attitude is reminiscent of Burning Man. Not surprisingly, Eric Schmidt is quite friendly with Barack Obama. He helped Obama win the election in 2012, and he's backing Hillary Clinton for 2016. Obama said about Burning Man, quote, "Hell, I think it sounds like a lot of fun," and that it is like his vision of tomorrow's America. He even said he might go to Burning Man one day. Consider also that Google was initially funded by the CIA, it was nurtured by the US government, and it went on to create the technological infrastructure for the NSA. This is probably why the Chrome web browser has the microphone and video capture permanently enabled. It allows the Pentagon to spy on its own citizens. The diabolical designs of Google are easy to see. Sergey Brin said the ideal search engine would be, quote, like the mind of God. They have said that they are aiming for technology that is implanted in one's brain. Google Glass is supposed to be a stepping stone to this. Google has also been involved in creating a wearable tattoo that can read your mind, and pills with authentication chips inside. Google has created robots, drones, and self-driving cars. Their goal is to organize all the world's information. If Google wants to be like God, then it is simply imitating the devil. Since Google can't be trusted with our information, can it be trusted with our money? An advertiser may find themselves in a dilemma here, since Google is such a large platform. Based on my research, it appears that search-based advertising is safer than network advertising. Also, since Microsoft came up with Viceroy, it may be that one can avoid click-forward more on Bing or Yahoo search advertising than on some other search engine platforms. Alternatively, with the rise of attention-based metrics, more emphasis is being put on the real engagement of visitors to one's website, in which case it may be better to find a time-based platform for advertising, in contrast with the current volume-based models such as pay-per-click and pay-per-impression that are so vulnerable to click fraud. From Burning Man to Google to click fraud and government spying, it is not hard to see that ignoring basic morals will bleed into one's business. If one is going to use pay-per-click advertising, it is important to keep in mind that a certain amount of your money will almost certainly be lost to fraudsters. For general web surfing, there are plenty of alternative search engines that one could use that don't track you.